Welcome back to the Doug and Commish Show, Week 7 edition, where we continue to preview the rest of our games here. The first matchup that we're going to be continuing on, or I guess going with, is Desk Jockeys, the 3-3 Desk Jockeys versus the 1-5 Nappy Headed Foe. And Desk Jockeys kind of looks like he's putting together a little bit of a tough lineup here for him. You've got Josh Freeman starting. I think this is the first Josh Freeman sighting we've had in the GFL. Am I correct in this?
You are correct, and it fits the profile that the jockey looks for in a player. I think Freeman will do just fine.
Okay. Benson against Atlanta coming off of a bye week. Again, we said we don't really know what to expect from the Bengals, whether they're going to actually try to incorporate more of the run, more of the throwing. We don't really know. Mod Bradshaw against Dallas. Seems to be an okay matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas is touted as this all-star defense or whatever, but they're not 1-5 for no reason at all.
Then you've got Hines Ward against Miami and Deion Branch. Are you buying this Deion Branch stuff?
Half of me wants to because I love the Branch story. But I also know how the Belichick rolls. He singles out individuals on Tuesday as to who's going to have a good game on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And I think that was just followed a cute storyline. Of course, he's going to be decent. He knows the system, and he's got some connection with Brady. So I look for it to continue a little bit, but not to the extent we saw last week.
All right, Nappy's side of things, we've got Phillip Rivers should have a bounce-back week.
He'd better. And I am saying that he will. But he was negative pointage for a better part of the game, and he basically let the Richard down and cost Richard the game.
Now you realize that Malcolm Floyd's out.
Yep.
Antonio Gates iffy.
Right.
Legadou Nanani iffy.
Yep.
He's rolling with Patrick Creighton and Buster Davis. Not Buster Douglas, Buster Davis.
Yes, and I don't think that matters. I think that it could be you and me out there, and Rivers is going to put it right where it needs to be.
But the thing is, we can't catch.
We've got speed on our side.
Gotcha. Anyway, Maurice Jones-Drew against Kansas City. Kansas City has to be scheming the way that Tennessee schemed because Jacksonville doesn't have a quarterback.
I mean, put 12, 13, 14 in the box. Let the receivers do whatever they want. Trent Edwards blows.
Mendenhall against Miami, and the New York Giants, Steve Smith against Dallas, prime time. But Brandon Lloyd, man, I'll tell you what a surprise he's been this year.
Great find.
Great find. Anyway, that said, Nappy-Headed Foe. ESPN has Nappy-Headed Foe winning by a decent amount. What do you got?
I've also got Nappy-Headed Foe because of the way that he's rejuvenated this week. He took his arrest at the airport and has really turned that into some positive karma, some good momentum, and he's going to ride Mendenhall to a victory this week.
All right, I too will take Nappy. On this one, we're going to have Toilet Town versus Nips as the next game. And looking at Nips' roster, Drew Brees against Cleveland.
Love it.
Great matchup. However, he's starting Brandon Jacobs and Brandon Jackson. So that's going to be a little bit tough for him in the running backs. Agreed or not agreed?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of been his story all year. Mm-hmm. He's really struggled finding some running backs.
But he's got two feast or famine wide receivers, Lance Moore and Jabbar Gaffney.
Yeah.
Again, I think that's what Chris is going for. He's figuring the law of averages. Maybe it'll even out, and he'll be able to win more games than not doing it that way.
It seems to be working for the champ, so you can't really say too much about it. Not something that I would do, but he's the champ. I'm not. What can you do?
On the other side of the thing, Toilet Town has Aaron Rodgers going against Minnesota. Jamal Charles against Jacksonville, no Sean Moreno.
I like those.
All notable matchups. Michael Crabtree. It really looks like he's got a decent set of games for his roster.
Yeah, and I think that this league is built on RBs, and in this matchup, you've got the Charles and the Moreno versus the Brandons. I'm going to take the law of averages and say that the Nipples does not have a lightning 30, 40 point or yard touchdown for 20-some points. I'm taking the safe bet in the toilet behind his RBs in Charles and Moreno.
I, too, will take the toilet here. But, again, Nips, you just never know sometimes.
One thing, though, is that he's a giant killer. Mm-hmm. And toiletries is anything but a giant.
So you would say that there's a giant nipple that's a giant killer? Or would you? Is that correct on that?
Yeah, I could probably go with that.
These are the two tallest members of our GFO.
That's true. And it's awkward that Nipples is a giant killer when he's one of the giants.
That's true. That's very
But
ironic.
either way, he's not an average to below average killer.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably gonna lose because Toilet doesn't meet his standards.
Isn't technically a giant. Good point. But again, we still haven't heard from Chris, so we don't know where he stands in this.
Yeah, like Chris who?
Chris
Parade.
So maybe he pit and turfed his computer, and that's why he hasn't.
He could have pit and turfed his computer.
So you think that Toilet Town will pit and turf?
I do. Or Julie pit and turfed his availability to play.
Oh, man, that puts pit and turf in the pit and turf dumps down in the pit and turf.
Down, it does.
All right. Next game. This is the game of the week, the one that everybody's been talking about, and there's been many tweets back and forth. There's been texts. There's even been a couple picture texts that have been rated for not the children. But Trash Talk versus Paper 4-2 versus 5-1, and Trash Talk, you've got a little bit of a dilemma on your hands with your quarterbacks. You've got Matt Ryan, who has not a very good matchup with Cincinnati, coming off of a bye week to prepare for him. But you also have Matt Castle coming off one of his best fantasy days, and he's playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. So
who is the 32nd out of 32 ranked pass defenses?
So,
I always say I'm going to play the guys that got me here, and Matt Ryan is that guy. While it's tempting to go with Matt Castle, I'm going to stick with the guy that got me here, and I'm going with Matt Average Ryan.
Wow. All right. You got CJ versus Philadelphia. I actually think that that's going to be a decent matchup. Philadelphia doesn't have as good of a run defense as they used to. Ryan Matthews against New England.
It's so. Hopefully, with all of the other options available to San Diego off the table now, they'll finally go to Matthews. But according to reports, he didn't practice today. The ankle might be flaring up. I don't know what's going on there. I'm a little concerned with Matthews.
Now, with Robert Meacham, it's a feast or famine. Why isn't Donald Driver in your lineup? I know he's been hurt, but he's an Iron Man.
It's purely that he's hurt. If Donald Driver is healthy on Friday and Saturday, Donald will move in. Meacham will move back out.
Aaron Hernandez, I think, will actually be your best matchup against San Diego.
Definitely.
A lot better than
Dallas Clark.
Sorry,
Stings.
Sorry, Joe. That really salt in the wound. On paper side of things, Tony Romo against New York Giants. Monday Night Football, prime time. In the past, Romo has been pretty vulnerable prime time. Last year, he started to turn it around.
Yeah, he's so-so. I mean, he's not really that much to worry about.
He's still throwing interceptions, whether that's by tips or anything like that. Guys run routes. It doesn't matter. It's interceptions.
Count on that.
But Marshawn Lynch against Arizona and S-Jacks against Tampa Bay.
I don't know about Lynch. I don't know if Carroll's right in the head or not. But I do know that S-Jacks is going to have a huge day against a horrible, horrible run D in Tampa.
I think Hakeem Nicks comes off the schneid here.
He better. I mean, it has to do better than last week if he just simply gets on the plane.
And Patrick Creighton going in, kind of filling in for the injuries at San Diego.
Whatever.
Well, and then Randy Moss against Green Bay.
Oh, Woodson.
Okay. And Brent Selleck.
I like him.
All right. What do you think this game comes down to?
Well, I see an obvious victory for Trash, but here's the thing. Trash has, out of all of his games, only one of them has been decided, a win or a loss, by less than 3 points, and that was the Roper beatdown. All the rest of the games have been a 1-win, a 2-win, or a 3-win win or loss. So I see this game coming down to a typical Romo fumble or sack or interception or something that he screws up hardcore as usual in the Monday night festivity. Trash 108, the Romo show 106.
I will take the paper on this one. I just purely like the matchups better, and I think his Monday night luck, I think he'll be able to pull it out.
He's had a good amount of it.
So that is it for the Doug and Commish Show Week 7 edition. We will be back next week to preview the games and preview the Week 8 games as well. Your fantasy players be studs.